Hello, I'm Archie Luxury and welcome to the program. And today I'd like to talk about the shock and horror that happens when you tell somebody, whether it's a friend or a family member, that you collect fuck off wristwatches. And particularly when you tell them that the wristwatch on your wrist is more expensive than their car. And it's an interesting thing. And to the non-horological collector, you get the shock factor. And it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. I've experienced it a number of times myself. And, you know, I've had all sorts of people who said, oh, I've got this car. And men can seem to be able to justify a car or, you know, a fine speedboat or a fine something. But when it comes to a fucking expensive wristwatch, you get a really strange reaction. And it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting to see and gauge the type of reaction that you can get there. And it's a very, very interesting thing. And I don't know what you can really say about it, but you've got a whole stream of people who are anti us menfolk collecting stuff. And well, it's even the menfolk too. They can turn nasty and say, oh, why do you need a $20,000 wristwatch or a $20,000? And it's just so I don't know, problematic. And I've even had people who've made huge gains in property. They've made big gains. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, my Patek, okay, you know, an annual calendar. What's it, 50 grand for a new annual calendar? Well, so what? So what you spent 50,000 on an annual calendar? What a wonderful thing to have. And this is the whole thing. It's a great thing to have. An annual calendar is a cool thing. But just because someone spent $50,000 on it, they suddenly say, oh, what the hell would you do? What a waste of money. Oh, I would have bought this. Oh, I would have bought that. And, you know, I've often said to people, look, my annual calendar, in my case, I bought one second hand. I can sell it for more than I paid for it. I mean, how many second-hand goods can you buy today and sell for more than you paid? And this is the thing, smart buying. And it all comes down to the fact that a lot of people are really out to get you, and they think because you're a little bit different to them, you must be insane. And it's kind of strange to explain, but I've had this phenomenon a couple of times where people, I've said to them, oh, I collect wristwatches. And the first thing they say is, oh, how much are they? And it's an interesting thing. Why does money play any part in this equation? Why does something in our society have to be valued on its worth in dollar terms? And as I said to a good friend, I said, you know, my Patek Philippe annual calendar, I love that more than life itself. I love my Calatrava more than anything or anyone. Well, maybe my wife and children would come out a little bit higher than that. But, you know, I'm just saying, you know, I cannot understand people's views and perception on things. They start saying, well, aren't you a bit insane to have a $20,000 to $50,000 wristwatch? And the interesting thing is, a lot of people say, oh, I would have bought a car, I would have bought this. Well, okay, say you buy your dream sports car. Okay, so say the $50,000 equation. So $50,000 gets you a Patek annual calendar, like a 5146. This is current model, current pricings. Okay, for $50,000 we can buy a beautiful sports car for that. What's that sports car worth in 5 years' time? What's the annual calendar worth? And let's go one step further. Instead of spending $50,000, instead of spending $50,000, why don't we buy a pre-owned one? Like in my case, the 5035 annual calendar. I got the tax back from the airport. I paid well under $20,000. And what's it worth in 5 years' time? And the answer is, it's worth a fuckload more than some stupid car at $50,000. And this is the thing you've got to say to yourself. Why do people judge us collectors and say that we're not 100% because we've got an expensive, intricate wristwatch? And I think myself, they're an ideal class of asset. You can travel into different countries. In certain parts of China and Hong Kong, you can organize a hit and swap them your day date to pay for that. You can organize some debt recovery with a two-tone Datejust with a odd leg or arm broken. And this is the type of thing they are. They're like cash. And why do people judge us collectors and say something is wrong with us? And it's quite funny. You meet a lot of people, and the first thing is tell them you collect watches. Oh, what do they cost? And that sort of, then they say, oh, you're crazy. You spent $10,000 on this, or $20,000 on this, or $30,000, $40,000 on that. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, I do. I buy these things, and I generally have never lost any money out of them. And it's not only that, it gives me the pleasure of having an annual calendar on my wrist. I've got a beautiful, beautiful 5035. And, you know, the interesting thing is I went back to the dealer I bought it off, Brisbane Vintage Watches, and they offered me exactly what I paid for it back. They said, you want to return it? We'll give you your money back on the spot. And, you know, there's a bit of now, so I bought it good, and I didn't muck around. I paid for it immediately, and I'm a serious buyer. But why do people judge us and say, oh, you know, they treat us like I've got some sort of waste or some sort of problem, like a poker machine player or a gambler or a hustler? And this is the question for today. I'm Archie Luxury, and please tell me your story where you felt uncomfortable because of your watch collecting antics.